Unemployed, 33 years old, and now a single mother of 14 children. I'm sure you've all heard of her, Octomom. She isn't alone, though, when it comes to excessive use of artificial reproductive technology. According to the CQ researcher, published in May 15, 2009, in the U.S., only 3.3% of the time are ART procedures single embryo implantations, whereas in Sweden and Finland, single embryo implantations are performed 60 or 70% of the time. Artificial reproductive technology, or ART, A-R-T, as I'll be referring to it as, involves surgically removing eggs from a woman's ovaries and combining them with sperm in the laboratory and then inserting them back into her uterus. In vitro fertilization is a form of ART. ART should have stricter guidelines that must be followed by both the patient and the doctor. In my speech, I will first discuss the problem that has arisen with ART, and then I will discuss the causes to this problem, and finally I'll propose a solution to how it all can be resolved. With ART, patients and doctors are abusing it for fertility problems. Doctors are implanting multiple fertilized eggs into women. In an article published on CNN.com on June 2, 2011, referring to ART, the American Society of Reproductive Medicine recommends implanting no more than 1 or 2 embryos for women under 35 and no more than 5 for women who are over 40 and have trouble getting pregnant. Although these guidelines are firmly set, some doctors do not abide by them, such as Dr. Michael Kamrava. Another problem is that these medical procedures cost $12,000 per cycle. In order to increase their chances for implantations, women would rather have numerous eggs implanted into them. This way, they only have to pay for one procedure rather than multiples. Although the embryo success rate has been increasing over the years, it's still very low. There are also high risks for multiple births. The CQ researcher informs us that there are challenges to public health, such as high rates of multiple delivery, preterm delivery, and low birth weight delivery. Ronald M. Green, a professor of ethics and human values at Dartmouth College, comments on the CQ researcher. He brings up a valid argument that limitations on multiple embryo implantations might be acceptable if insurance covers several single embryo implantations for all patients who have experienced 6 months of proven infertility. I understand why it would be more reasonable to only implant 1 embryo if insurance covers this. Women do not want to waste their money on procedures that might fail, especially with the high failure rating that ART procedures have. Women want the most out of their money, and this is why they lean towards multiple implantations. Although this might seem like it would be good to save money, it's not very wise for a number of reasons. There are serious risks that can arise for both mother and child. Also, some women are not financially stable to care for numerous children all at once. And ART programs also have a significant physical, financial, and emotional commitment for both the couple or just a single parent. Although we've looked at the problems of ART, I think it's important to point out the causes. There are various causes to the abuse of ART. First, guidelines aren't enforced well enough, which allows doctors to get away with a lot more. An advocate for responsible genetic technology stated in the CQ researcher that self-regulation of ART in the United States clearly isn't working. 80% of programs do not strictly follow American Society for Reproductive Medicine guidelines, making government regulation long overdue. Currently, doctors are only supposed to implant 1 to 2 embryos, and it's not really being followed right now. Another cause is that these procedures are very expensive, and doctors would rather receive a high income than worry about the risks that can occur from multiple implantations. Because this is such a controversial topic, the federal government does not fund ART. Fertility clinics must make all their money on their own. An issue from Newsweek published on June 29, 1992 said that in reality, doctors most who seek their services fully understand the odds and choose to try to beat them, even at the risk of disappointment. By trying to beat the odds, doctors may insert numerous eggs, increasing the chances of women becoming pregnant. With higher success rates, these clinics would be able to have more patients come in, and this would help them get more money in order to support themselves. Lastly, women are willing to ignore the risks of multiple implantations. Some women try again to get pregnant, and they fail every time. Others have started too late in the game and experienced their own difficulties. For these reasons, as well as plenty of others, women gain the desire to become pregnant no matter how it's performed. Susan Bewley states in her book, Abuse of the Doctor-Patient Relationship, that women want excessive intervention, but their judgment is clouded by emotional trauma of subfertility and the economic burdensome of paying for in vitro fertilization. Some doctors succumb to pressure and act against the woman's best interest, such as Octomom's situation. Now that I have touched on the causes and problems of art, I would like to inform you of the possible solutions. This can be resolved if there are increases to regulations in fertility clinics. On February 19, 2008, in the New York Times, it was stated that there is a new procedure where women agree to 2 cycles where one fresh embryo is used and the others are frozen. Now, if this fresh embryo does not succeed in implantation, then they would take a frozen egg and insert that a second time for a less costly and less burdensome procedure. This is a better alternative, and it's also safer, and also decreases the chances of a woman having multiple children. This would also cut down on multiple implantations, as it has the same success rating as multiple implantations. And currently, if a doctor abuses his medical procedures, then his license can be revoked. And this rule needs to be reinforced as well. According to CNN, Nadia Sulman's doctor, Michael Kimrava, lost his medical license due to gross negligence with repeated negligent acts for an excessive number of embryo transfers into Sulman in 2008. Kimrava is one of the many doctors to abuse his medical license for whatever reason, and it should be made a priority to limit these to as few as possible. To review, artificial reproductive technology must have stricter guidelines for both the patient and the doctor to follow. First, we focused on the problems that occurred. Then we focused on the causes to this problem of the abuse of art. And lastly, I provided some solutions to how it all can be resolved. Of course, I'm not asking you to go out and make a change today. What I am hoping for is that you become aware of the arising problem. There will come a day when you encounter your own family planning, and it's important to know there are available alternatives to help with infertility. Whether you experience it firsthand or not, I want you all to be aware of the limitations set in order to abide by the law properly. Although art is expensive and time-consuming, it alleviates the burden of infertility. It would be such a shame to see these procedures made illegal because of the countless acts of infertility abuse.